So there's this chord progression, and I'm sure everyone knows it. It uses a trick making it so wonderfully beautiful and sad at the same time. And once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. It magically ties all the chords in this progression together. So let me show you how he does it. So the vast majority of songs you hear on the radio are made up of just a handful of chords. And this is what you get when you turn the major scale into chords. Okay, so you can actually see it super easily on a piano. So if you just play the white keys, you get the C major scale. And if you want to make a chord out of this, well, you play one, you skip one, you play one, you skip one, and you play one. And if you then go up following the C major scale, we get the same chords we had before. And these chords we call the diatonic chords. But what happens if we play a chord in the key of C with a black key instead? For example, B flat major. Well, exactly this happens more than once in Bob Dylan's Make You Feel My Love. You might know it from Adele. She didn't write it, but she sang it wonderfully as well. But let's take a look at this song because it's wonderful. So it starts out with the C. And if you want to match the key of Bob Dylan, you put a capo on fret 1 and play everything the same. But for now, let's stick to C major. And then it moves to the 5 chord, the G major. From 1 to 5, from the tonic to the dominant chord. And I'm sure everyone who first picked up the guitar and learned the G chord realized, well, you can also put the B in the bass of a G. Especially after the C, that's wonderful. We get a G over B or a first inversion, and it sounds so easy, so chill, because that semitone from C to B really connects the chords beautifully together. So after the G major we jump to an odd chord, and here the magic starts, for me at least. It's a B flat major. Ooh. So this is a non-diatonic chord. The flat 7th chord degree, if you want to know, because the B is 7, B flat is the flat 7. And listen to this, because the movement is so beautiful. Here we go. It's just so melancholic, right? And that is because of two reasons. So firstly, this chord is a so-called borrowed chord from C minor. We call this modal interchange, where we snatch chords from different modes or parallel keys. But yet, although it's from a different mode, that B flat still has one note in common with the previous G major chord. So the D in G, we also have that in B flat, and that's why it sounds so nice, connected. And secondly, we actually extend that semitone line we had going from C to B to B flat. That is also a strong connection to the chords before. And interestingly, Bob Dylan chooses to sing that same note he sang over the C chord, which is the high G, but then over the B flat, basically turning the B flat into a B flat 6 chord, because the G is the 6th in B flat. Such a lovely atmosphere. Let's keep going, because we jump to the 4 chord. And the 4 chord in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, is the F. And again, we have a shared common tone between the two. The F is in B flat, but also in F. And also what's fun to notice is we're making the same movement between the two chords, only a whole tone lower. And for those with a sharp ear, maybe you picked up on this already. But we're again extending that semitone descending line, hitting the A, the major third from the F chord. So C, B, B flat, A, the major third in the F chord. How cool is this? And this phenomenon actually has a name. It's called a line cliche. Cliche because it's the oldest trick in the book. We descend or ascend chromatically. For example, in this song, etc. Or Michelle. Wonderful. Anyway, so that's how we elegantly walk to that 4 chord in this tune, the 4th chord of the song. And here again happens something we see very, very often. So I learned this as Moll-Dur, which apparently means small and big in German, and I'm not sure why I learned those words, because I'm not even from Germany, so I don't know what's happening there, but you might know this as minor 4. So there's a whole subreddit dedicated to this legendary chord movement. There's Spotify playlists containing songs featuring this change. It's a classic. So in a major key, C major, where we play the 4 chords, in this case F, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, D, E, F, we don't play the major chord, we play the minor chord instead. And then resolve back to the tonic. That is one of the most satisfying movements out there. So very nice. So that F minor is also a non-diatonic chord, a borrowed chord from C minor. But listen to it when I play it in this tune, because it doesn't feel like a resolution yet. It's the start of second round of chords, and we need to put an end to this. We need to circle back home. So here's a little turnaround that concludes this beautiful verse progression. And it doesn't get more classic than this. 2, 5, 1. Oh guys, chords are so simple, and if you realize what's happening, you see it over and over and over and over all the time, everywhere. It's the same tricks being done, but you know, if it works, and that's why it's happening all the time. If you really want to get deep down into everything and have everything in one place, I suggest checking out Acoustic Adventure, where it's all laid out beautifully, by the way. If you're into acoustic playing, it's a lovely resource. Anyway, let's move on. So the 2 in this case, the 2, 5, 1, is C, D. That's the second chord degree. And on there we play a secondary dominant. And not a D7, no, a bit more fancy. Let's make it a D9, because Bob Dylan highlights that note. Make you feel my love. So he sings that E. That's why I suggest playing a D9. So we call this a secondary dominant because it doesn't resolve to the tonic. It resolves to another chord within the key. In this case, to the 5 chord. But not this one. Not any 5 chord. So what we resolve to is what I always used to call a sus chord, a G sus, but the definitions vary, so I notice. So it might be safer to stick to F over G. So we play an F triad, and we put a G in the bass. And this somehow has a bit of an ambiguous feel. We almost have the plagal cadence, which is from the 4 to 1. F, C. But then because we put the G in the bass, also giving us that dominant sound, it can be both. It's super nice. So with that D9, how lovely is this? So in the context, but wait a second, because do you remember that semitone line, the line cliche we talked about in the beginning? So in the intro I said there's one thing that ties all the chords together. Well, you know what? We can keep that line cliche going and going and going and going for the entirety of this chord progression, with every chord change going down one semitone, hitting the white keys, the black keys, all of them. The chromatic scale goes down from C all the way to E. You want to hear it? that line almost invisible, hidden in the chord changes, but then again, really clearly connecting all the chords together. It makes them sound coherent and a bit saddening at the same time, that chromatic line descending, 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 going down and down. And what is super fun to do is to use that line cliche and put it in the bass. And I heard one recording where Bob Dylan, well, not the bass player probably, a live recording, he did that. But before we do that, I have something fun for you. So I've created this little tool or quiz that will determine your skill level, and then it creates a personalized practice plan tailored to your guitar goals. And it gives you clarity on what to practice and help you make the most out of every minute of your playing. So if you've been feeling stuck on your progress, for example, or just want to improve on your skill, this may help you. So just click on the link in the description. It will just take you a minute, and I can't wait to hear how you get on with your practice plan. Anyway, let's move on, because that bass line, the line cliche in the bass, and see what happens. And tabs for all these little noodles I'm playing, these acoustic arrangements of this song, are available on my Patreon page, by the way. So C, B, B flat, to A flat, G, F sharp, G. At the end, it's nice to play the G back to C. And there we are. We put the line cliche in the bass, and you can keep on going. So actually, I only wanted to talk about the verse of this song because of copyright reasons. But in the chorus, there's one chord that is so... it's so perfect that I wanted to show you this. So the chorus starts at an F chord, the 4 chord, and then it moves to the 1 chord. So but you see that 1 chord, I'm playing there a G note in the bass. So F to C over G. And then the 3rd chord. Oh la 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 la. So this is an augmented chord. It's where you raise the 5th of the chord to a sharp 5, and we have the major 3rd as well. And then Bob Dylan sings at high E. Very pretty. So we also have that line cliche going on, but then in the opposite direction it goes up. Because when we go from that G sharp augmented, we go to the 4 chord, the F again, but then with an A in the bass. So we get G, G sharp, A, F over A, and back to C to the 1 chord. And then A in the bass, and then to C. The second round we do the same. F to C major, D minor, 7, F over G, and back home. Etc., etc. So you hear there's many cool things in this tune, and it's so subtle, but if you hear it, you cannot unhear it, and that's the beauty. All these little things happening in this chord progression, you're gonna see it over and over again in many different songs. So use it to your advantage. Use your ears, get these changes into your system, and you're gonna recognize it everywhere. So if you have some suggestions for songs I should look into, let them know in the comment section. I love this kind of video. Analyzing classics is just such a wonderful tool to get better at your craft. And that's what we're doing over here, getting better at the craft. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.